Hi my lovelies, welcome back to my channel, and for everybody who's new, I'm Leorah and I'm so glad you found me. And welcome to today's video, which is again in collaboration with Wrapunzel, but it is a bit of a different video because today is not going to be a wrapping tutorial. Today is story time. So I want to invite you to take a coffee or whatever you want to drink and to sit down and just, I'm going to share with you my journey and my story, my history in wrapping, how it all evolved and where I came from and where I'm going. I don't know, but so let's just be on the journey together and just have some chatty story time, which is all connected to wrapping. And before we do that, I just want to mention that I'm of course wearing Wrapunzel scarves, which is the favorite t-shirt scarf in green, and this is the Bold Strokes scarf. And if you're interested in a tutorial on this look, which is sort of a further development of the looks that I made, all those wraps that I made for my daughters, so let me know in the comment section down below, then I can do a tutorial on this one. And it's so easy, it's much easier than it looks. Anyway, so without further ado, let's go right into the story time. Okay, so I brought my big notepad with me, which is like this, and I should have taken something bigger because this is ridiculous, but I'm gonna try to do this. Anyway, I mean, I know my history in wrapping and all of this. It's just that, I didn't want to forget anything. So when I'm glancing down, it's because I'm trying to see what I wrote down. So let's start. For everybody who doesn't know, in Orthodox Judaism, women usually start to cover their hair when they get married. So basically, the morning after my wedding, I put on my first head covering, and that was a knitted pot holder. I don't even know how to call this. It looked like, I don't know, do you remember, if you're not like really young, maybe you remember that years and years ago, at least in Europe, I don't know about other places in the world, but in Europe when I grew up, we had these things that keep the boiled eggs warm. Like you have them in the boiled egg holder, and they're like knitted things that fit right over the egg to keep it warm for longer. So that is what I wore. This is how I started out on the day after my wedding. My hair was showing underneath. I have nice, pretty long curly hair, or I used to have. and then this little pot holder knitted thing was like right around my head, and I felt so pretty, and I was so proud that I finally could cover my hair, because now everybody knew that I was off the market, I was married. Yay, finally I finally had married the man of my dreams, and everything was good. I looked terrible, but my husband was kind enough not to let on. Yeah, you know what, if I find anywhere pictures from the time back then, I will include them here or there or somewhere, but I cannot promise because I was too busy being in love for taking pictures. So anyway, so that is how it started, and I basically married into a family. Their tradition is to wear hats, and really only when they're going for prayers. So not really on a regular day-to-day basis. So there are a lot of traditions. Some people cover all the time, some people just cover out of the house, some people just cover when they pray. So there are a lot of options, and I basically married into a family that covers when they go to prayers. So that's what I did. I covered out of the house when I went to work in the office where I used to work. I covered my hair most of the time. It was sort of, I was not yet settled on what I was gonna do, but I knew that I wanted to cover my hair. I just didn't know really, where am I? It was more the thing, what is expected of me, and what I have to deliver. It was not really what I'm feeling myself and where I stand, because I didn't know. So anyway, and I personally, I do not come from a family where anyone covered, so I'm the only one in my family who does that and who did that step. So that's why I also have no role models from my childhood or anything. So yeah, let me glance down. Okay, so I started wearing hats, and maybe I can find pictures of that. If I do, like I said, I'll include it. Anyway, I started wearing hats, and I always leaned to like big rimmed hats because my face was pretty much like, it was bigger than now. I'm weighing now 20 kilos less than when I got married. So I felt like I need to wear something bigger in order to balance out my face. You know, it just looked better on me. I never felt hats look bad on me. I felt that like I have a good face for head coverings, but I just never felt the hats, and it was so not practical. You know, you get in the car, you bump your head, and you do, I don't know, it's just the way it sits on your head, and maybe it slides down too much into your like forehead, or it bothered me, you know. It did not feel natural for me to wear hats, and it was just not comfortable for me. I got headaches from it. I got totally annoyed from it. I could not wait to get home to just throw that thing off my head and just, you know, be done with it for the day. And also when traveling, you know, you have to wear something that is maybe has a smaller rim, but then you have to have a hat box for traveling and things like this. So really, if anyone needs this, like I didn't need this. Anyway, everybody of course can do whatever they want and what they feel comfortable with, but the more time passed, I felt more and more that this is absolutely not me. But I was a little bit scared of stepping out of the family's tradition, because it's always hard to be the odd one out. And now that I'm thinking about it, this was maybe my first step of, like, my first baby step of trying to do my own thing and trying to be creative, and you know. Anyway, the only exposure I had to tichels and scarves and pashminas was really in the 6 months when I was engaged, before I got married. A friend of mine took me to Kala lessons. The Kala lessons are lessons where a bride-to-be goes to learn all kinds of rules of family purity and all kinds of that. And on the way to one of those lessons, I was with a friend of mine, and she introduced me to scarves. I mean, I've seen people wearing scarves, but we just passed by a store, and she said, you know what, you're getting married, you're engaged, why don't we just, for the fun of it, try out how you look with scarves? And that's how the first time I put on a scarf. And as I just told you, I ended up not doing anything about it. I ended up buying hats because that's what the tradition was. So about, let's say, maybe 8-10 months after my wedding, I actually started to wear scarves. And I was in a shopping mall, and there was like a stand with a lot of scarves, and the girl, the sales lady, she looked so beautiful in her scarf. And now that I know more about scarves, I really know it was a very simple wrap, but for me it was like, looked stunning. And I said to her, I really want to buy some scarves, and I really want this, but I have no idea how to go about it. And you also must know that I never wore a shaper till like 2 years ago. I didn't know that there is such a thing. Actually, that's not true. I knew that there was such a thing, but the early ones were so slippery. They didn't have those anti-slip velvet bands or anything like this, and they were like, it was so horrible. So I didn't use that. I just tied my hair in a high bun, and then I just wore like a lot of what's it called, scrunchies? I want to say scrunchies. You girls always teach me these words that I can't remember. I think it's scrunchies. So I wrapped a few scrunchies around it in order to create a little bit more volume, because I had a lot of hair, but it's very fine hair. So in the end, it did not look like a lot. So yeah, so that's what I did. And then I just wore one tichel over it. Usually I started my collection just with square tichels and a few, very few thin scarves, just to wrap them like once around here as a highlight, and that's it. And that's how I felt so pretty. I felt so pretty. And then reality set in. I went like this for the first time to the office where I was working. And I came through the door, and then my boss said, oh, you look like a cleaning lady. Yeah, I was so upset, like you wouldn't believe. I didn't let on. I did not say anything, but I was fuming the whole day, at least for a day. I was so upset because finally I felt pretty, and I felt like I was getting you know, a little bit closer to where I was supposed to be and where my soul was. And I got told that now, of all things, I'm looking like a cleaning lady. And besides the fact that why does a cleaning lady, what is implied there, you know? But anyway, so, but that's besides the point. I decided that I don't care and that I'm going to start wearing scarves. And at that point, I only wore scarves when I left the house, which also includes, of course, when we went to go to prayers. But it was just out of the house, and when I come home, I took it off and I wore my hair open if we were alone, which was most of the time because we didn't have kids yet and we just enjoyed alone time. Yeah, then I started to have kids. So first of all, I just had one. And I had Akiva, my oldest son. He was something like 3.5 years when I had my first set of twins. So he was already old enough to realize things. So he at some point realized that I'm only putting on my scarves when we're going out. And he basically, when I started to wear my hair up and doing things like this, he immediately asked, where are we going? And for some reason that set me off. It bugged me. You know, I felt personally something is not right. I don't like this, that he feels I'm doing this just for the outside world, because I don't know, for me it just didn't feel right. So then we moved to a different house that was closer to my husband's office, and that also meant that we had a lot of surprise visitors, people for the office stopping by and things like this. So I needed to suddenly be presentable all the time, which meant that I had to cover throughout the whole day. And this is how I basically grew into that, which coincided with my son, you know, realizing that I'm covering only for the outside world, and us moving. It sort of came together to push me that last step into covering all the time from the morning till the evening. And that is actually really what I needed. But I felt so much better to not, I don't know, I felt more real. I felt like I'm more real to myself and more true to myself, to do what I'm doing, not for the people, but also for myself. And for me, and I've mentioned that a long time ago in a different video, that for me it always felt like someone is putting blessing hands on my head. This is how I feel about head covering. For me, it has never been a chore. It has never been a sign of suppression or anything like this. For me, it has always been a sign of blessing. Just that I didn't know yet where to go with it, you know, how to make the best out of this blessing. So yeah, so that is basically how I came from not covering at all before I got married to covering from morning till evening, when we had, I think by then we had 3 kids. Okay, and then from then on, wait, I have to check, where am I here? Okay. Yeah, so then I started to buy more scarves, and I've also mentioned that, I think in my weight loss story, that I bought a lot of scarves and I bought a lot of jewelry during all those years because, and that's what you're seeing, because I have a lot of jewelry that I can play with, because that is the only thing I could buy, because I had gotten so fat that it was very, very hard for me to buy anything. You know, I could never buy anything off the rack. Now, these days, it is much easier because there are actually stores that serve that community that is overweight or plus size, but back then I had the hardest time to do that, you know, and I did not ever order anything online. I'm not a big online shopper when it comes to that, so I want to try stuff on. So my clothes were still like very tent-like and black and dark blue and gray and dark brown and very subdued, but my scarves and my tuchels and my pashminas were already starting to be colorful. And yeah, and I built up a pretty big collection, honestly, which is now, it's a shame because I have probably something like 300 square tuchels that I'm not using at all anymore, because I have evolved from that. It's just not my thing anymore. Now I'm exclusively using scarves and pashminas, because it's just this is my style now. And so I have a lot of tuchels lying around. Anyway, so I bought a lot of stuff in that time and started to play with different combinations in those years. And then I left the office where I had worked before, and I started to work in a clothing store that was very much in the style that is leaning towards what I'm wearing now, very colorful and very free, and combinations, like whatever you want. And they were also selling scarves. And this is where I met a very good friend of mine who became then, after that, she became my best friend for a long time, for a couple of years. And and she sort of led me into this direction of trying out different wraps, and still everything very basic, nothing very spectacular. But for me it was, because I came from a perspective, or from a place of zero knowledge, so, and also with the clothes. And that was also the time when I started to lose weight. And so this is how I evolved into sort of shedding all those layers that were binding me and holding me back and were frustrating me. And with all the pounds that I shed, I felt I was adding on more butterfly wings. That's how I feel about it. And then the end of the story for now is really that almost 2 years ago I got that modeling job, when I had finally reached my weight goal and I got discovered, sort of. And I had that modeling job, and still my wraps were pretty simple. But when I had my first photo shoots there, I was still bringing my own scarves, because that was my condition, that I could model with my hair covered, and I was the first religious model for that company that I was modeling for. And so I did that. And then when she invited me back, that was actually very nice. But I'm going to save that for a different video, because it's not really related to head coverings in that sense. So she invited me back, my boss from back then, from the modeling thing. And she said that she's bringing in pashminas and scarves, and she wants me in the next photo shoot to model with them too. So I had to then, with every new outfit, I had to come up with different wraps and with different kinds of, ideas. And I had to do that on the spot. And because I don't know if you know how fast you have to get changed between different shoots. So it's crazy. And it happened quite a bit that people had to wait for me, because I was wrapping. I was already dressed and everything, and we had changed the jewelry and everything, but I was still wrapping. I was still trying to figure out what I can do. So anyway, so yeah, and this is really where I broke through a wall. Unfortunately, I did not model very long after that for that company anymore, and I went more into my own fashion blog that I had started around the same time where I started modeling for that company. But I went more into my own thing, and also then into trying out more with scarves. And then at some point I got referred to Wrapunzel, and you know what? If you go back on my channel, very early on, there is a video where I did a Get Ready With Me, where I was getting ready for a fundraising dinner with Rudy Giuliani, who came to Israel, and we were invited, my husband and I, for a fundraising dinner, and I was actually on that fundraising dinner. After the dinner, while the whole crowd was already leaving, there was a woman, and she was waiting for her husband, and I was waiting for my husband. They had gone to do evening prayers, and we were both basically waiting for our husbands. And we started talking, and then she said, "You know what, when I look at you, you would be the right person for Wrapunzel. Find them on Facebook." And I had never heard about Wrapunzel. I had never heard about, it didn't even occur to me that there would be groups like this on social media. I was such a social media baby still, and I still am. Anyway, so on that evening, I signed up with Wrapunzel. You know, I sent my friend request or whatever. It's like I wanted to follow that group. And I think the next day I posted my first picture on Wrapunzel. And I could not believe that within like 10 minutes, I had 70 comments and I don't know how many, like 120 likes. And I was like, huh? I couldn't believe it. You know, I could not believe the outpouring of interest and love of people that I've never met or never any, yeah, like, I couldn't believe it. And then there was this message. There was this one message that I've also a long time ago read on my publicly in one of my videos, where one person wrote, a very, very dear person to my heart, she wrote that she can see that something great is happening in my life right now, and I'm on the precipice of something great, and that she sees like a lot of potential in me and all of that. And I never forgot that one. And back then I didn't really know, like, I was touched and I started crying and I was so moved by this, but I didn't really know what it all means. I still don't know what it means, but very soon after that, maybe let's say, I don't know, let's say a month or 6 weeks after that, I got into the collaboration with Wrapunzel, and that opened up so much of my creativity that I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea that there is so much within me, you know. I knew certain raps and I thought I invented them, but after I came on Wrapunzel, I saw that a lot of people did the same thing all the time. So yeah, so I was not that inventive after all, but being exposed to all of this really triggered something in me that I can do so much more, you know. And it also came together with me starting to study makeup and all of this, and this whole everything together created the person that I'm right now. And I have no idea where I'm going. I have absolutely no idea, and it is amazing. I love this. In general, I'm not a person who likes this place where you don't know what's happening at all. I'm a total control freak in so many ways, and I'm very, you know, I have to have everything organized and everything. I'm also, I try to be always on time with my uploads. I try to always send everything to Wrapunzel, what I owe to them and whatever. I try to be very dependable, and that's very important to me. But in that one place, the one place of creativity, I love it to just let myself go and to not overthink. And I have said that already in several videos on my channel. Stop overthinking. I think it was actually in the styling video that I did a couple weeks back. Stop overthinking. You're thinking too much. You know, if it is hard, then you're thinking too much. And it doesn't mean that it's not sometimes hard for me, but I'm telling myself then, Leorah, stop thinking. Get out of the box. Just throw out what is blocking you, you know? And that's what I'm doing. You know, for example, this wrap, I just threw it together this morning because I just knew that I wanted to use those two scarves, and I had no idea. And I just started wrapping, and I wasn't even really paying attention because I was busy with the kids and giving them instructions while I was wrapping. And I put it together, and then I said, wow, Leorah, this looks great. My ladies would like that, I'm sure. So that's what I mean, you know. Creativity is not, it can be a place of high concentration, and sometimes it has to be, but sometimes when you're stuck, it helps to just let go of everything. To just let go of everything and maybe just have one color in your mind and then think, when I close my eyes, what do I see in my life when I imagine this color? Something like that. I don't know if that sounds crazy to you, but anyway, so my bottom line is, this is how I am now, and I have no idea where I'm going, but I'm open for everything, and I love what I'm doing right now, and I know that in the place of God's creation, there is so much more, and we are all just grasping a tiny little percent of what the creative spirit that God has given to us or has placed into this world, and we just have to dig it free. We have to like dig for it and open it up and let it come out like a fountain. And that's not always easy, yes. And it's also because we are so incredibly distracted these days, in this day and age. But girls, we can do it. We can do it, and we can enjoy this, and we can sparkle. And yeah, So that's my journey so far, and I'm so glad that I have my loyal tribal ladies who are following me here, and we are all on this journey together. And it's so lovely that you share your experiences with me, and you've given me over the last month such beautiful feedback on how my humble videos have influenced you and have also, you know, inspired you to be more colorful or to be more outgoing or to be more sparkling for your husbands or for your family or for yourself or for whatever, you know. This is amazing, and in all of this, I really feel like I have found my place, and I have found my direction. I'm not at the destination by all means, you know. I'm not there yet. In a long time I will not be there yet, and I'm enjoying the journey and I love this, but I have the direction, you know, so that is amazing. And yeah, I hope that helped you, and I hope if not, then at least you had a good time sharing, you know, some quality story time with me. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and if you liked the video, give it a like, and if you're new here, by all means subscribe to my channel because why not? It's a lovely place to be here, and I hope you enjoy my content. And besides that, everything, of course, what I'm wearing today, the Wendy Shaper and the two scarves, are linked in the description box down below if you're interested, as well as my makeup. And next week we're going to go back to wrapping tutorial. If you want to see this one, please let me know, or I'll do something else, we shall see. And just so you know, there are big things coming up with Wrapunzel. We're working on something really, really nice for you, so stay tuned, and I'll see you here next time for my next video. I can't wait. I love you so much. Hugs and kisses. Bye.